Okay, and we are live. Or I should say, I'm alive. I'm alive. I'm alive. Never mind. Never mind. I got to clean up some shit here because I've been making a mess here. Doing my research and not finishing one and doing another. I got the Globe Shakespeare out because I was looking at something. Shakespeare, obviously. And I printed my my copy. I'm going to try and read my story. We're going to continue with A Beginner's Guide to Time Travel. And we're starting part 6, chapter 25. We're near completion. And then, what am I going to do after that? Oh, yes. I have to go live at the restaurant. She just won't leave me alone, that woman. She is the waitress. And she wants me to go live because she wants to be on camera. Go figure. She says she's going to come and bomb us constantly and just irritate us. We don't mind. That's what we do. Oh, look I have two visitors. Carly and Suzanne. Welcome, welcome. Girls, I'm going to tell you that I have a special offer now. I'm going to drop my price down to $5 for the yearly subscription, and I'm going to leave it at that forever because I'm thinking I have 5,600 followers. Like, go figure, eh? 5,600 people are actually reading my stuff, my notes and stuff like that. I'm one subscriber short of 1,200, and so I'm thinking, and I've got 27 paid. So I'll do this live for free, and then when I put up the the video and all of that stuff, when I put up the video, I will be charging the what's that called? The paywall. I will paywall it, but it's going to be $5. I'm going to put it at $5 permanently, and well, not permanently. I shouldn't say that. It's a test. I'm going to do it for about 6 months. And if that doesn't work, I don't know. I just I just want people to help support me, so that way I can get back into the making my videos and all that stuff. Because I couldn't afford that because I kept running out of money. So yeah, we'll just see how that works. $5, and if I get if I have 5,600 people following me, and that's a lot of people that I can convert, isn't it? I could I tell you what it is. I saw this guy and he had this video thingy that he was doing, and he had somehow accumulated, I guess it's over the years, 150,000 people were following him, which would be cool. But he had what was it? About 15,000 people that were what do you call it? Paying him. There you go, subscribing for pay. And he was only charging $1 or $2 or whatever. I thought, wow, like you could charge, $1, $2, $5, but the lowest Substack lets you go is $30. So you have to add a sale, a percentage. So I dropped it down to 88% or something like 83.3%, which brings it down to $5. And I thought, like, $5. Like, imagine if you had 150 people sign up for $5. That's okay by me. I don't mind that. Well, we'll see how it goes. So, anyways, I have a new project. Well, we did start it, but we did start discussing it the last time I was on here, and that is the Trojan cycle. The Trojan cycle is, my trilogy series that I just started, where I've already released my one, and then I will be releasing the hardcover volume of that in December, hopefully. And then I will do the next cycle. That will be the I got it. It's the Vienna Tales of the Vienna Woods. And then I will do volume 3, which will be the African Songbook. And then it's like I'm thinking by that time I'll have the Trojan cycle. I've started the first story in that, and that is, let me just check. That is 24,600 words. I just had to look. 24,600 words. Yeah, I wrote that. Oh, didn't take long because I just got so into the whole idea of it. So what it is 12 interconnected novellas. So that'll be 4 volumes. The first volume is called The Measure of Grief. And the first story in that is called A Child of the Lion. Or something just banging outside the door there. I don't know what that is. A Child of the Lion. Which is, it takes place in Troy in the 10 years of the siege. And it's a child, he's 10 years old when it starts. And he escapes because he's telling the story when he's like an old man and he's blind. And it's like, he's been all over the world, I guess. But he is really, it's my wife. Uh-oh. Time out. Hello. What's up? Can I call you back? Not right now, but like in an hour because I've just started my reading. Here, you want to be on live? Okay. Okay, bye. Oh my God. She wanted the name of the wine. It's downstairs. So, like, she works in a liquor store. Comes in handy. So, anyways, like, the kid is going to escape. Well, he's not going to be a kid. He's going to be 20 years old when he escapes. He's going to escape with Aeneas, which I thought, like, hey, how cool is that? I can have the whole story. And it's like, because Priam had 50 sons and 50 daughters, or so they say. I'm making it 87, 50 sons and 37 daughters. And this is one of the children by the second wife. So I made him have 5 wives and 17 concubines, which, like, easy to have 100 kids. Well, there you are. Yeah, so, but I'm really excited about this story because it's like, I can see it in my mind's eye. I'm like, the first story is book 1, book 2, book 3. Like, instead of chapters, I'm just going to call them books. And then it's going to go, volume 2 is going to be book 4, book 5, book 6. And it's just going to go that way. And then I'm going to, at each little section that's inside of it is going to be staves. So it's like a chapter, part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4, like that kind of thing. And those will be staves. Yeah, it's like, I got it all figured out. All I have to do is write it. But I thought that it would take me a couple of years to write it because I was going to take my time with it. I can't be bothered. It's like I just want to do it. So the other story that I was going to put up on for my what is it? Stories After 8 on Saturdays. I was going to put up tarot cards and tea leaves. I'm putting that on hold because I think this is more important because I can't wait to get these ones published. And I'm going to put this one on, what's that thing called? Kickstarter, and make it into a 4-volume set of books. Maybe make it into an omnibus. But that'd be like 1,500 pages. I don't even know how long it would be. Ridiculous. Let me see how many pages my story is. 54 pages. 54 pages from a story. So it's like I can have 150. Yeah, it'll be 1,500 pages easy, which is pretty cool. Make it into an omnibus or make it 4 sections. 4 volumes. It'd be, yeah. I think a lot ahead of myself because, like, I said I was going to put out 25 volumes of my trilogies, which is 75 novellas. What a year. That takes me up to 92, 93 years old. 93. I wasn't expecting to live that long. So, so I wanted to get this out before I croaked because I figured that would be a good idea. So, yeah, I have ideas. I just have to follow up on them. And I don't have the time for them because wasted all that time working. But whatever. It's, I worked all my life, and then it's like when I finished working, it's like, yeah, okay, time to start writing because I've always been a writer. I've always been writing since I was 14. Before that, I wanted to be an artist. I wanted to work for Disney Studios before before Pixar and all of that stuff. Back in the '60s and the '70s. That would have been my job of choice, but I didn't. I became a writer instead. And speaking of writing, let's see what we have here. We have A Beginner's Guide to Time Travel, Part 6, takes place in the year 3523 ATC, which means after the catastrophe or whatever. And this is Steve. And who the hell is Steve? Well, we'll find that out. Chapter 25. The thing about I have to put this thing here so that you don't see the top of my head, right? It's like I don't want to have my head down like that. I want to kind of like have it like that. Okay. And then I'll just toss the pages like that. The thing about real VR is that you can't tell the difference between where the reality ends and the fantasy begins, the SID said. Its voice accented because someone somewhere probably thought it'd help to sell and move product. I didn't care one way or the other, but with SID standing for Sentient Intelligent Design, you'd think they would have at least figured out the glitches by now. I mean, take care of that shit beforehand, you know what I mean? I didn't care. What's that? Oh, cool. I just thought like thumbs up. Sorry, I got distracted. I mean, take care of that shit beforehand, you know what I mean? I didn't care if the thing spoke binary and I had to read a translator strapped to its chest. I'd already made up my mind before we even walked through the door. It was deceptively large as kiosks go on the merch tiers. There were 4 chambers that seemed to disappear as soon as the door closed behind us. The room was dark and the lights came on slowly. The walls built up, surrounding us, and I looked down at Sandy beside me. She was bouncing with excitement. She thought it was great as far as surprises went. She'd seen all the viddies coming across the feeds and had been pestering me about checking it out ever since. It's all the rage, she said. And it is, indeed, I thought, watching the hexachron the SID was holding in the palm of its hand. It hovered above about a towel's width above its mech hand, each of the 6 faces showing a different age of man's recovery and development over the last 3,500 years. It was a storied history, I'll give it that. It was more or less a case of you picking your favorite war. That's just one of the selling points. The selection, the SID said, spinning the 6 sides so I could look at each montage of images for at least a minute. And this is one of our most popular sellers, it added, trying to appear casual by leaning back against the wall. I had to confess, I had a hard time not laughing when it leaned back and shimmered through the feed with a metallic ring. I looked at Sandy and she looked at me in horror before we both started laughing. What was it thinking? She was still laughing, bending down and trying to lift it back up. It was heavy and she was having a hard time. I was still laughing. Not much, apparently, I said, reaching down and helping her pull the SID back up. The funny part is, it stays here 24/7. You'd think it would know what this place is. Dumbest robot ever. I beg your pardon, it asked me. You heard me, I said. You're supposed to be sentient. I looked at Sandy. That's what the S in SID stands for, right? Sentient? That means it's supposed to be smart? Supposed to be is being the operative word, Sandy laughed. And what does it do, this sentient design? It leans back against a wall that isn't even there. You're the only other physical thing in this room. You have never left this room, not even for cleaning or servicing, which is easier. It's easier just to junk you and buy a new one. What? It seemed shocked by the revelation. It might be an implant in one of your processors. It's possible it's fucked. Is that a proper diagnosis, sir, or just an opinion? The SID asked, brushing its checkered vest and then the sleeves of its white shirt. I hadn't noticed the garters holding the sleeves up when we first arrived. Things like that seemed to stick out, and I wondered if it hadn't somehow worked on the nano in my system. Wouldn't be the first time a major company tried to steal someone's identity. I powered up my con. Allison, could you do a security diagnostic and move to the appropriate frequency? I think that would be an excellent idea, Stephen. Although I don't see how he could be declared sentient. One of the mysteries of science, I suppose. Anyways, he seems harmless enough, but it could be a dupe. If I was a slicer, that's what I'd do. You don't know the first thing about being a slicer, Sandy laughed. I didn't say I did. I said that's what I'd do if I was one. I turned and looked at the SID. It was big and bulky. The clothes they put on it were totally out of place and wasted on it. It just made me think it looked ridiculous. But it knew its stuff, I'll give it that much. Shall we go on, I asked. The age of cataclysm, I said, and reaching forward, pulled it up straight. Takes place in the SID turned the hexachron over and looked at the hollow reed that popped up in front of us. We could all see it. We could all read it, but I guess the SID felt compelled to read it to us anyways. I guess it was part of its primitive programming, but like I said, I'd already made up my mind before opening the door. It said it could hook us up so that we'd be able to come in every day for an hour if we wanted. There'd be a short time for orientation. And when we were done, it'd feel like we'd been there in the game for a month. That was the game's biggest draw. 1 hour was equal to about a month. You could purchase smaller packages where 15 minutes was equal to a week. That was more for people who'd been involved in the game for months. They were just trying to stay alive in the game long enough to save enough money so they could go back in. What's the story? In a nutshell, I mean. You don't have to play the whole hollow feed. I've seen them all anyways. But you work here. You must have heard what these things are like, even if you're SID. From what I understand, it's amazing, the SID said, its voice changing to match that of yet another satisfied customer. From what I understand, and here he did another customer's voice, you can feel pain, but it's not like it would be if it were real. It's there to let you know that you need to find a place to rest. If you don't get if you don't get enough rest, or if you don't power up, then your avatar will die. Your story on that timeline will come to an end and you'll start up in another timeline. It's the same sort of timeline, only it's different. And it is in subtle ways. And it's those little subtleties that make the elite system so different from every other one out there. Some of the people you meet in the timeline you're in will become your allies or also enemies. It depends on the package you buy. But if they die when they're in your timeline and you die as well, they'll come back in your new timeline, but just long enough to keep your story going. They'll die in your timeline, then move on and continue with their own story in their own different timeline, and you'll never see them again. So you could go in with your partner and both die and come back on at different timelines, unless you sign up for the exclusion clause. That's where these other places get you. They don't tell you that up front, and when it happens, they get you to sign up for the exclusion clause at an inflated price. That seems rather unscrupulous, Sandy said. It is, but here at Elite, we don't do that. We tell you everything up front. We offer you the exclusion clause as part of the package. Some don't want to take it. That's because we give you something else the others don't. We give you 5 lives. When you die, you come back in another timeline. Your memory comes back to you in bits and pieces, like your mind is giving you hints. Eventually, you do start to remember things, and the quest you're on finally comes to light. And what kind of quests do you offer? Sandy asked. We have a combination of different choices from different ages. The Ice Age is a popular package. Isn't that a little too cold? In the final year, that's what Dwayne calls it. Who's Dwayne? I asked. He programs the VR chambers. He often sets them up in people's homes, but we suggest you do your first sessions here so you can be monitored. Shouldn't he be here? He's here in the morning. He goes out on calls, monitors games. What does that mean? I told you, he helps set up the AI in your house to monitor the system. That way, you can do it from the comfort of your own home. Nothing like waking up in your own home after having endured a month avoiding flooding, rock slides, and collapsing walls of ice. And all our games are guaranteed and well researched. Guaranteed. Guaranteed what? To be safe. None of them takes place during the ice storm wars. The Ice Age package takes place 70 years after the ice starts melting. The temperatures are temperate. No point in sending you into a time period where you'll freeze to death in under a minute, which is why there are so many flash floods, mudslides, and walls of ice falling down, Sandy said. The SID turned its glass head towards her. I think it tried to smile, but only ended up tilting its head slightly. I could see inside its head, though, and was as fascinated as always because the SIDs all have conical heads of glass, solid glass, and their reflections of light, they say, are similar to neurons in the human brain. Every flash is a thought or a command, with so many coming in and flashes, and ends up looking like a solid light tracings, making geometric designs with every syllable uttered. You don't die for real, though, right? She asked. The SID moved closer without even moving, just leaned in and dropped its voice so that we had to lean closer just to hear what it had to offer. Conspiratorial? Conspiratorial? Or just the perfect marketing ploy to gain the customer's confidence. I decided it had to be the gaining the customer's trust because I could see Sandy was excited by the whole idea. You hear things, you know? There was this guy in a city once, years ago, and they said he had a heart attack while he was playing VR. It screwed things up for everyone on his timeline. He didn't die on the outside, and while his brain was attached to the game still, he was in a coma in both the VR world and the real world. They had to store him inside whatever game it was in a coma for 10 years. And the same thing in real time. You mean he was stuck in the game, she said? And because he was in a coma in the real world, his avatar fell into a coma as well? Exactly, the SID said, slipping back out and making a quick pirouette before he leaned back in and went on with his story. They put him in his own little game. That's why he was in the hospital for so long. They wrote a game just for him. They gave him a son and sent him to live with his family. Father, mother, 3 boys, maybe a dog or 2. Can't have 3 boys and no dog. You have to wonder how long that one worked out. Because from what I've heard, the coma was put in a pre-cataclysmic scenario. Well, that's what they say. I don't know if any of it's true, but it's pretty doge all the same. Don't you think? Doge, Sandy said, laughing. All the kids are saying it these days, the Sid replied. Has anyone ever beat the game? I asked. A few. There was an AP that used the game as part of her recovery program. I heard they had to operate on her extensively, made her more cyborg than sapien. I went into the game while she lay in her hospital bed. Never died once and became a time guide. When you become a time guide, you can go anywhere in the game and do anything. Time guides can either help you or hinder you, it added. So these other people you meet in the game, they're just other players, the same as us? And if they die in my game, it just means they get to start another timeline of their own. And if I die and start a new timeline and they're in it, they'll die because in reality they're playing their own game and now are restarting on their own timeline. I turned and looked at Sandy and she just smiled. That was last week. Since then, we've been locked in. Lost in is a better description, but locked into the age of cataclysm, 1 hour each night for the past 3 nights. That's the equivalent of 3 months of maddening adventure. I guess that's why people have taken to calling the game Lost. Once you get lost in the chamber, everything changes. Chapter 26. Wit. The day started with a brilliant sunrise, leaving me feel refreshed. For the last 10 days, we've been rolling south on our way to the Roost, crossing the open plains for the annual Trade Fair. Several of the larger villages surrounding the valley would also gather at the Roost, a circle of rocks measuring 100 meters across and 3 meters thick. It's, excuse me, it's sacred ground for some unknown, forgotten reason. They mean nothing to me, the old ways. They're a hindrance more than anything else. But the Roost is a marvel to behold. It's a mystery how the thing hasn't collapsed on itself. Like I said, it's a wide circle of stone supported by a single round rock, flat on the top, I imagine, standing 10 meters in the air. They say they used to conduct sacrifices there, but I don't believe it. That's not what Zard told me about the place. I've always been more inclined to follow his word than I have that of some old shaman. Zard wasn't the kind of man to let superstition get in the mind of a thinker. He may have been an old soldier and fought in endless wars, but he was always a thinker first. A wide stream of icy water cascaded its way down from the Vandals, through a series of waterfalls before flowing into the valley through tall trees and along ancient game trails. That's where the wild oxen live, each one large enough to feed a family of 12. We're among the lead caravans, and the Algor's banners snapping and rippling in the cold wind coming down from the mountains. Jalene's father is the Algor of the clan, as well as one of the most respected men in Amarus. He helped win the rebellion and free the people who were under the spell of Moorlock. That's a story for another day, as they say. I was sitting with Jalene and Jarrell, who was reading his star maps and telling us he'd figured it out. He said he knows the way through the mountains. I turned to look at the endless parade of wagons and goods trailing behind us, lost in a cloud of choking dust. You'll never convince them to go through the mountains, I said, and Jarrell replied that I'd have to help him convince the other Algors. Me? Why me? Ask Jalene. She knows more about speaking to the Algors than I do. You don't have to speak to them. Then why do I have to go? Tell them that you're going with me. Why would I want to do that? Besides, you just told me that I don't have to speak, I laughed. They might name it after you, he said. All you have to do is tell them you're coming with me. Why would they name it after me? Why not? We could call it Wit's End, he said, laughing. So did Jalene, who seemed a little too keen to join in, I thought. And why are you laughing, I said, leaning forward to look at her. Because it's funny, she smiled. You won't be laughing that hard when I speak up and tell them you don't know what you're talking about. And why would you say that, Jarrell asked. Because you don't, I said. You're saying that because your father taught me to read the star charts and not you? Zard had his own reasons, I said, urging the ox over a small tussock of grass with a gentle slap of the reins. Not content to let me sit in the comfort of the caravan, he was determined to take me into the mountains. I told him I didn't do well in the cold, and he said he'd packed furs in anticipation. The hardy kind, the hardy kind we use in colds. Hang on. Sorry. The hardy kind we use in cold weather. Sorry, I lost my place. This. Okay. The hardy kind we use in cold season, he added, looking smug. I told him it was the cold season all the time in the mountains. He replied by saying the trail was 500 meters wide. I went through the mountain where it crests the peak at its lowest point. You'll never find your way through because it's buried under ice and snow. I told you, it goes through the mountain, Jarrell said, as if that should explain it. That means it was dug out by men who had a sole purpose in mind. And what kind of purpose was that? Survival. You can't think it's still there because it was built before the cataclysm. Besides, even if it is, I told you, the opening will be clogged with ice and snow. Well, that's why we have to go there then, isn't it? Jalene's father, Jaswell, argued that a path through the mountains didn't exist. A tall, muscular man, scarred from the many battles he'd fought, he was unprepared to let his two remaining children set off on an impossible quest. He stood in the middle of the council advising the other Elgors that it was a dream founded on a myth. And while he had his backers, those few that agreed with him, no matter the argument, the other Elgors were convinced that Jarrell had found a way through the mountains. Jarrell had argued that he found the way through the mountains my father claimed 20 years before was real and existed. Perhaps if I wasn't there as a reminder of my father's legacy, things might not have gone the way they did. But I was. Not that my presence was the determining factor in swaying the council, but my reputation as a huntsman, and that, as the son of Zard, may well have added legitimacy to Jarrell's claim. I don't know. I wasn't asked to speak, only to acknowledge that I was prepared to undergo a trip through a mountain pass no one had seen for unknown years. Jarrell said it was a tunnel that had been bored through the mountains, and it didn't matter if I didn't believe the stories myself. My being there was enough to convince the other Algors that it did. My father's legacy sometimes hung over me like a shadow of the past. We made our way back to the camp, a myriad of tangled tents and wagons lit up with 10,000 campfires glimmering in the night, a shimmer of light that looked like spot fires on the grassy plain. There was a light wind blowing in from the east, picking up and scattering the detritus of untold thousands. The smell of roasting meat and fresh-baked bread lingered. The cries of children at play, the laughter and screams of drunken revelers telling stories of wars long gone. It was camp life at its best, and tomorrow we'd be setting off on our journey into mountains that promised their own adventure. We spent most of the night preparing for our journey. The raft I'd made was loaded onto a small cart we'd be dragging behind us with our single Dorkran, its shaggy fur a matted tangle of stench. I would have preferred using an ox, but oxen are animals more inclined to grassy plains, whereas Dorkrans are more suited to higher altitudes. Jaswal approached our camp, his large frame made somehow larger by the fire Jeline was dropping wood on, the dinner she was preparing sizzling in various pots and pans in the flames. He stood silent in the shadows, watching. "It's a fool's errand you're bent on, then," he said, stepping out of the shadows. It wasn't an endorsement, but it wasn't a denial either. He'd understood his son's needs to prove his theory. It was Jarrell's way. He'd always been studious, and my father's influence had done nothing to deter him from seeking the truth, wherever it might be. "It's not my errand," Jeline said, looking up from tending the flames. "You might have tried to sway him." "Jarrell? Are we talking about the same person? You know what he's like." "Yes," he said, with a faint hint of resignation. He pulled up a stool and sat, warming himself in front of the fire. "It's times like this I wish your mother were still here. She'd know what to say. He never listens to me, never has. He's more Zard's son than he is mine." "Why do you find it so hard to believe him?" Jeline asked. "People have been searching years for a way through the Vandals, and your son is the one who found it. Why would you agree to go?" he asked me. "He's determined to go, with or without me," I said. "Did you expect me to let him go alone? You'd never forgive yourself if something happened to him, but moreover, you'd never forgive me." "I suppose," he said, heaving himself up with a big sigh. He picked up a small stick and stabbed it into the loose-fitting rocks, looking up. "You'll do whatever it takes not to let anything happen, I'm sure." "You know I will." He smiled, then nodded. "You're your father's son," he said. Oh my goodness, I think, no, sorry, my bad. I thought I was finished. I forgot I'm throwing them away. Okay, next part, Steve. As a form of entertainment, VR has been around for 1,000 years, maybe longer, I don't know. My brain doesn't work that way. But Dad used to play it when he was a kid, just like his dad did and his dad before him. From what I know, or maybe I should say from what little I know, VR was already a thing before the Cataclysm. I don't know if that's true, but if it is, it shows you the game's potential. The world before the Cataclysm was well on its way to self destruction. There were crop failures and droughts worldwide, dust farms, they called them, made worse by tornadoes with winds bolstered by extreme temperatures. The planetary heat went up to a tenth of a degree every year for 10 years and then graduated to a degree a year over the next 4. The polar ice caps melted and the water levels increased by 6 meters. Methane gas trapped under the polar ice caps was released and entered the atmosphere. A volatile gas, methane often erupted inside of tall cumulus clouds, a result of the many lightning storms, and the flames singed across the sky. I don't know if any of that's true. It sounds too far-fetched for me to believe, but it might be true. I suppose Mother Nature just got bored and decided to shake things up a bit, do a little culling of the herd, as they like to say. I think the best thing that could have happened to us as a species was the cataclysm. I call it the real deal because that's when the world changed from what it was then into what it is now. That we've accomplished what we have in such a short period of time is a testament to the determination of our species, a bow to the spirit of mankind. I've seen old-time viddies that Zard had, showing what the world was like before. All I can say is that we're better off for it having happened. One can see that Homo sapiens as a species had pretty much run out of time. Seeing that with the cataclysm we were all but done for as a species, it's good to know that there's always a few that manage to survive, isn't it? It's estimated that at one time, the total population of human life on the planet, BTC, was 42 billion. And after, it was calculated at less than 100,000. Before the cataclysm, there were food riots and revolutions. It leads one to think that this was a world population that knew they were doomed. I don't think it was a shock to anyone that people weren't calling it the start of mankind's descent into extinction, but its culmination. I suppose when the cataclysm came, not one government could say they were prepared for it. How could they? Who could have predicted a supervolcano erupting in the middle of whatever this place was called back then? The thing that's always amazed me about all of that is that it triggered all of those other volcanoes. What did they call it? It was something fantastical sounding like the Ring of Fire, which, by the way, would be a Doge name, as the kids say. Or is that the Cid? Do you think it came as a shock that the tectonic plates slipped with everything else that happened? Looking back, you think to yourself, why wouldn't there be a shift? With the planet being plunged into seminal darkness, that fact of science was proven beyond a doubt when it triggered a mini ice age lasting over 200 years. I'm going to call it the deep freeze in my book. The events in the game take place 200 years after all of that, though in a more pastoral world, so one would think. But there are predators out there, things that lurk in the dark. I think it's safe to say that the food chain took a drastic turn. There were cities that were rebuilt from the remnants and industries that rose up out of the ashes, but there were no governments, not yet. If you want to live in a time where you're on the ground floor of one of life's greatest mysteries, you can take part in the time traveler's charade, a quest of sorts that lasts the 1 week but comes in at a premium price. It's one of the more high-end programs Elite Games has to offer. It costs a small fortune, or so I'm told. I paid for the executive package, which they don't advertise on the holo because packages start at 1,000,000 credits. It comes with the pre-cataclysmic preamble, the Cid said. And what's that, I asked? That's where you live your life in a past that's so real, you'd think you lived your entire life there. It comes complete with memories of childhood. You can have grandparents if you want, aunts, uncles, cousins. You can be rich, poor, an actor, or a singer, an athlete. The world is your oyster, as they say. Who says? That's one of the idioms that you have at your disposal. The language back then was challenging, more than our ATC world. And that's part of the package, Sandy asked. Indeed. No, Doge, she said, leaning back and laughing. I was convinced. And just like he said, the moment when everything happened and we were dragged away into the future, I thought that I'd time traveled for years, for real. Why would you want to go back in time and see what the world had to offer? I'd be a fool not taking it, considering the size of the inheritance. Like it says in the brochure, it might not be real time travel, but it's as close to it as you're going to get. With the new VR, you can feel as if you're there, not just living it, but lost in it. That's why they sell you the packages for a week at a time, but the executive package is for 12 days. That's a full year's worth of living. Now it was downtime. It was bright morning, the sun breaking through a low cloud cover and hitting the buildings around us. The airbots were following their preset courses. There were smaller bots zipping in between up and to different levels on the flight path, and I'd watch them for a while, thinking maybe we'd grab a bot and fly out to the countryside. Sometimes it feels good to get out of the city. Okay, I believe that is it. Yes, because I didn't throw all the pages away. There you go. That just confuses me. Next time I'll number them. So, that was chapter 25 and 26. I think. Yes, I believe. Okay. I don't know. I'm lost. Okay. Should have thrown pages away. That's it. We're done. We're done. I finished it. I will look at. I have more visitors. So nice. So nice. So, that was my the beginner's guide to time travel. As you can see, it's not time travel. Pretty cool, eh? VR. Who'd have thunk it? We did VR. We went to visit our friend down to Mexico, and we did a VR thing. It was absolutely hilarious because my my wife had no idea of what to expect, and she kept thinking that she was being attacked, and she was like going like it was absolutely hilarious. But the hostess, well, yeah, I guess you call her that, Irene, who is not here. She did it, and she was standing on a cliffside, and she got down on her hands and knees and was like looking over the cliff. Absolutely hilarious. Like we could not stop laughing. It was a blast. And so I said, "Hey, like maybe we should get one of those things." I mean, why not? Couple of, you know, old retirees playing VR. Why not? I could never get into the video games because what those they called RPGs, role playing games. I mean, my kid does that. I just don't know. I don't know all the what do you call it? All of the stuff. I just don't. I could never be bothered with it. Well, I think it was because first of all, I didn't like the animation because I thought, well, they can do better. Because I remember they had that video game in the stores, Dirk the Daring, back in the back in the 70s, early 70s, and that was pretty cool. Really good graphics, and then you get these games that they're playing, and the graphics were just ridiculous. They looked like they looked like somebody from grade 10 designed them, but whatever. I liked Dirk. Anyways, so I'm going to be finishing this in about 3 weeks. Then I have to take this into the restaurant and see if it works. I may have to get a different microphone because I don't think I can take this into there. I have to get one of those clip-on things. 2 probably because my brother's going to need one, isn't he? Yeah. And it'll be breakfast with my brother, at which time I'm going to explain. I was going to explain the apocryphy to him, but I'm just tied up in the Trojan cycle, so I'm going to explain the Trojan War to him, which should be fun. Should be fun. Well, it's the Trojan War in my eyes, the way I see it. Like Cassandra's name is Cassie, and Helena's her twin brother. Did you know she had a twin brother? Helena's her twin brother is called Hal. The only one that's called by his real name is Hector. Paris, well, Paris is going to be Paris, but like everybody's going to have not so much nicknames, but shortened names. Like my hero's name is Antiphanus, and he's called Ant. Why not, right? It is. It's going to be cool. I like it. The King Priam is the Lion King, basically. While he sits on the lion throne, he's the lion of the desert, and that's why the story is called a child of the lion. They don't want to give too much away, right? Oh yeah, we all know how it ends, but we don't, because there's nothing like this. I think. It's, I guess if they would have told stories like this, they would have been lost, right? Lost in history. I mean, you get stuff in the plays, Euripides and Sophocles and those guys, right? The Trojan women and all of that stuff like that. I haven't read those. I have them in my Harvard Classics. Yes, I guess I'll have to look into that now. Whatever. But yeah, I'm excited about this whole prospect and the whole project. And I'm thinking I can finish this book that I'm working on, my first three novellas, so my first trilogy, volume 1. I'm thinking I can finish it, what's this? This is the 11th. I should be able to finish it by the end of September, I would think, easily. Yeah, because I'm retired. I can spend days and days at a time writing. Just don't get distracted, which I do a lot. But that's okay. And then let me see. I want to, oh, yes, we have more visitors here. So I have to tell you that we are on sale, $5 for the year. If you want to sign up and get behind the paywall, you can read Jack of Diamonds. You can read my archives. You can, because everything goes behind the archives after 2 or 3 years or something like that. I've been here 4 years. This is starting my 5th, I guess you would call it. So I've been here for a while. So I have 794 posts, I think. Yeah. So there's a lot of stuff in the archives. It goes back a long time. I have all sorts of things in there. I have a movie. I wrote a movie. There is a movie in there. The script. It's called, I think it's called 1917. I named it that before the movie came out, and then it's like, I go, oh, great, now I got to change the name of my movie. Like, whatever, I haven't done it yet, but it takes place in 1917 during the Russian Revolution. The story of a string quartet, and the main guy is actually he's American, and he went to live in Russia because his parents were Russian. And his father was the sausage king of Long Island. So they go to they drop him off in Russia, and they go back to America, and they board an ocean liner in 1912. And guess which one that was? Yes, they died on the Titanic. And so he's in Russia, and then the revolution breaks out, and he doesn't know what goes on, and it's like just a big catastrophe after that. It's like easier to write a story about somebody who doesn't know what's going on when you don't know what's going on. So that's why I wrote it that way. And I wrote it as a challenge just to see if I could. And you know what? I did. I never bothered sending it in to anybody or anywhere or nothing like that, because I don't do that. I just write them. And there was a time when I was just writing and not even bothering to send things out. I just wrote. and that's why I have so much. And I was putting in what's that thing? The 10,000 hours. Yeah, I've been writing since I've been writing for over 50 years. I think I got 10,000 hours in. So yeah, I uh, I yeah, I just like writing. Whatever. I'm killing time. Can you tell? I got 10 minutes. I might have to end this early because I don't have anything else to read. I have my 2 ebooks out. I did tell you that one, right? Accidentally. Yeah, because I was getting my Shield of Locksley. I wanted to make it into a book, and in order when you upload it into Amazon KDP, right? I figured I'd go that way. So when you upload it, they automatically make it into an ebook and put it out. I mean, I didn't even have a chance. They just put it out. So I uploaded it thinking, okay, I can work on the, what do you call it, hardcover copy and the paperback and all of that stuff and figure all of that out. And they sent me, as I was doing that, they sent me a message. Okay, your ebook is out. I went, whoa, great. I just put one out 3 weeks before that. So now I have 2 ebooks out, The Shield of Locksley and Trilogy, Volume 1, The Bridges of Rome. So, yeah, I like that too. And after that, I have to, oh yes, I have to work on another hardcover copy for the trilogy because I want to put that out. I'm not going to bother with my hardcover for what do you call it, The Shield of Locksley yet. I'll wait till next year for that, around June-ish, because I have time. I can do this, right? Or so we hope. Something like that. Who knows? Shit happens. What is it I always say? Life goes on until it doesn't. I've learned that the hard way. And let me see. Does anybody have any questions they want to ask me? What is this thing? Questions only. What happens? There we go. No questions yet. It's like I can write a message here. Hello? Question mark. I'll send a little heart. There we go. Look at that. I didn't know. I didn't have the questions only on. Now, if you have any questions, I can answer you. Ask me about my book. Ask me about my deals. Let me see. I want to get back into the live action animation that I was doing. That would be cool. I was actually thinking I would do a live action animation of my movie. That would be interesting because I have you know, but I wanted to do it with the kids with beards. Yeah, I don't think they would let me do the. I don't think they would let me do it because it's restricted. There's a rape scene in it. That's not good. But whatever. And so let me see what else. What else? I'm gonna still write the apocryphy. So I got the whole thing is like I gotta write the apocryphy, and then I gotta write the Trojan thingy, and I gotta do Jack of Diamonds. Like I'm really filling up the plate there, aren't I? Like yeah, I got 3 projects happening all at once. Yeah, but like I've already got. Let me see. Like I said, 24,000 words. So the Stave 2 Book 3 is coming. I even have them already ready to go out. There we go. Stave 2 post November the 7th. So I'm good until November with my stories here. So like I can just what's that? Edit this and edit it and work it all down. Have it all ready because I've got till November to get to where I am right now. So I've got another. What am I at? I said 24,000 words. I figure I got another 6 or 7, maybe 8,000 words left, something like that. About another 20 or 30 pages. That sounds about right. That's easier. 20 or 30 pages. I'm on page 50, just starting page 55. But that's at a 13-point font because it's easier for me to read. I could make it a 12, but yeah, that's really small. Yeah, that's what happens when you get old, right? Your eyesight goes for a shit, but whatever. It's like, okay, so go back to where I was. There we go. And I'm going to hang up now. Everybody can say ciao for now, and let's let's all meet again next week, same bat time and the same bat channel. And remember, this is BTC-TV channel 13 in Vancouver. And I forgot to tell you about the old weather window because I closed the door because it was so bright outside with the sunshine. It was like, ooh, blinding. It's a little overcast, but that's just the smoke coming up from Spokane and down from Summerland. Summerland is a town in the interior, and there's 2,000 people that are now homeless because it all went up in smoke. Yeah, yeah. So it's and the one in Spokane, down in Washington, down there. Well, we just found out that they arrested a guy yesterday for arson, and he confessed to starting 18 fires over the last 2 years. Like, what the fuck? What is the matter with these people? Yeah, I mean, at least ours are. They're still they're still man-made because of people that are making campfires because they're so stupid, and they build campfires and like, wow, really? Those. So yeah, and the irony of it all is that we are surrounded by forests where I live, like the mountains, the coastal mountains that are just over there, like really close, full of forest. Never once in my life has there been a fire there, which is like knock on wood, right? Because holy smokes, what a catastrophe that would be. Yeah, and the place where we live is called the City of Parks because there's so much greenery and so many parks with so many trees. Like, wow, this place could go up in flames, and then holy smokes. Like I said, what a catastrophe. But hey, it didn't, so knock on wood. And it is a wooden desk, not just my head. Alrighty. So I'm going to say goodbye. And thank you guys for joining me. And hopefully you'll join us when it's breakfast with my brother, because that will be fun. And I'm going to put that one behind the paywall. And it's like $5. Like, come on. You can watch it for the whole year for $5 and giggle because we do giggle a lot. Well, we laugh a lot. We laugh at everything. We laugh at life because we're two old geeks, old geezers. Not as old as him, but here we are. Okay, so I'm saying it now again once more. I thank you for coming. Thank you for joining me and listening. And I hope you liked it. And I will see you next week. And goodbye.